the annual symposium 2025. So welcome, everybody. You see probably the agenda. We will do a short introduction of our university. Some of you already know Ancona and the Polytechnic University of Marche. And director is not here, but the director of our department, Professor Francesco Regoli, is here and will say a couple of words on our department and on our university. And then we are waiting for the assessor. Also here in Ancona, we have an assessor of the university, so a special politician in charge to follow and help the university also with the services of the municipality and helping, I hope, more and more also in the future to support the students that are coming from Ancona, both Italian but also from abroad. We know we need this kind of help, and I hope that Ancona will increase its hospitality toward this important category of people, because these students for us are very important, as you can imagine, and we know that there is a lot of things we can do to valorize better your presence here also in the future. Okay, so for now I will leave the floor to Francesco, and then I will say just a couple of words on the course here in Ancona, waiting for the assessor and the final speech of Professor Francesco Regoli. Welcome again.
Thanks, Carlo. First of all, I will be shorter than expected, so don't worry if we are late. We will take some time. And I'm here also to bring the welcome of the rector of this university. But I would also like to express my personal pleasure and gratitude in a way to welcome the INVRC annual symposium here in Ancona. And for this, I'd like, first of all, to thank Luana and all the colleagues that considered Ancona as a suitable choice. The local committee, Carlo Serrano and Camilla Roveta, just the two persons of a team that really did an extraordinary work for making this event possible, to welcome you in the best possible way. And of course, my gratitude to you, students. That in this week you will bring your personal experience of your experience, and I think that this international atmosphere, which is not so common as we would wish in many times, is especially important, especially in these days, in which probably we understand more than other conditions how important is to have a global vision and not very restricted. And in particular, for all of you that have decided to invest your future in the protection of the environment. You are here because you have decided to study the ocean, the different perspective, but I don't think that any of you have made this choice to not with the aim to protect this environment, which even more the necessity to have this global perspective. Now you are at the end of this, I think, wonderful experience. I hope that all of you understand the uniqueness of the the experience that you have done in having the possibility to move from one university to another one, to change the different cultural experiences together with this. I also wish, but I'm pretty sure that this is the end of a wonderful experience, but also the beginning of something more important, which is your future. So I hope that you will not, that you will continue to bring this experience in your future life, because this is the correct way to live your life. So thank you again for being here in Ancona, and I really wish you a wonderful week with us. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Dear students, dear partners, dear colleagues. It is a privilege and an honor to be here today to share a few welcoming words to the IMBRC Annual Symposium 2025. This is the 8th edition of the IMBRC Symposium, and for the very first time at consortium partner UniVPN, at one of the most popular locations for mobility study, professional practice, master thesis in IMBRC. Not only for its beauty, for the wonderful sea, the biodiversity, the Italian welcoming style, the wonderful food, the wonderful wine for those that appreciate it, but of course for the high level of education, quality, and research. IMBRC students that come to Ancona to study a partner UniVPN, either to follow the fundamental package or for the second semester in the minors of specialization in applied ecology or marine conservation, or when you come for your majors in marine habitat restoration. I'm really grateful to have Ancona as an IMBRC partner, and really happy to see all of you here together today for this event. Now I want to briefly invite you to navigate with me to the program of this week, of the symposium that we, the IMBRC Consortium, but mostly UGent, your central coordination team, the coordinating partner of IMBRC, together with our wonderful host, Ancona, as Professor Francesco Regoli shared, has been doing a very hard and serious work to provide you a wonderful experience that the graduating cohort world deserves. So today we will continue in this welcoming ceremony. Tomorrow we designed a special day. It is the first time that we have this program focused on life after IMBRC. We will have plenary sessions, interactive parallel sessions where each one of you will have the chance to interact with the different scientists and teachers on different relevant topics about science research, but other meaningful topics to help you, to give you tips, where myself and my colleagues, we will share with you all our experiences, because there is no unique path. It's finding out who you are, what you want to be, and keep resonating to your commitments as a scientist, as an ocean scientist. We will have a roundtable focus on career prospects, and we will finalize the day of tomorrow in a lively networking reception. On Wednesday and Thursday, you are the stars. You will be presenting and defending your master thesis work. Specifically, we're gonna have over 80 students, because remember, I'm also talking with an audience online, presenting, defending different works related to marine biological resources. We, which we also are your jury members, we are very excited for that moment, and we really expect to see you delivering the science that we need for the ocean we want. We are living in a difficult moment in the world with unnecessary, harmful conflicts. And we, the ocean community, we represent a resistance to that. Because we care for knowledge, we care for a healthier ocean and therefore for a better world. And I really hope that you, the students, soon masters of science, that you will continue being that resistance, fighting the waves of ignorance, fighting the worries that don't want to do a blue economy that is balanced and sustainable, fighting the fake and helping with your knowledge and with your science to provide a better ocean that is crucial for the existence of the planet as we know today, also for the non-human species, but of course for our own survival. Also, I want to bring to our attention that what makes this IMBRC Symposium 2025 even more special is that we are carrying our special event in this month of June, which is a remarkable month for the ocean. The ocean has been in the news over the globe because we had a couple of weeks ago the third United Nations Ocean Conference with many parallel, important, relevant ocean decade events taking place. We manage, because I include, and you should include yourselves on it, as ocean remarkable achievements for the future of the ocean and of our planet, for the future and existence of all those communities that depend on a healthy ocean, on a healthy biodiversity. Of course, not everything is perfect and a lot still has to be achieved. And it's our duty to continue carrying this message and fighting for it. But these events also recognize that many actions have to be done. And we need to win events like this. That's why I'm really proud to be here representing the IMBRC Consortium and to try to motivate you to carry this message and to share that the thesis that you will be presenting, we continue carrying this outreach message. It's so important that we do what we do. On Friday, we will be all together again in the same room, not this room, but on a bigger room, much larger auditorium together with your family and friends to celebrate your achievements after the 2 very intense, challenge, but also fun years of IMBRC. Thank you very much for your attention.
The assessor of the University of Ancona is here with us just for a couple of words.
Thank you very much. So welcome. and good afternoon. I think this is the best city in the world. So I'm very happy that you are here, and I hope that you will enjoy our city. So it's a great pleasure for us to give the welcome to you to our city, and it is a pleasure for us to have a university, the Politecnica of Marche, and the municipality that wants to build a unique vision of city, a city that will have the university like science, like a very multicultural city, and it's very important to have like events like that. No, a lot of people, a lot of countries. This year we had the best event in the world of Erasmus Generation. We have the Erasmus Generation meeting in Ancona with 44 countries, with 1,200 people in Ancona. So we are building a new city, a city with science, a city with culture, a city with Europe. And I hope that this event of science, this event of connections, that give to us a new perspective of our cities. And I think that the theme of oceans, of the sea, is one of the best assets of our university. We have a lot of professors that are in the high part of the scientific magazines, and I think it's very important for us to have you here to share our knowledge and to share our researches. So I hope that this week will be the best week in your life, that Ancona will be always in your heart, and I hope to see you for another week or another year here in Ancona to study or to live here with us. So have a nice day and a nice week, and congratulations for the students that this week will discuss their thesis. So congratulations, and
All right. It's my pleasure to invite back to the stage Professor Francesco Regoli, Director of the Department of Life and Environmental Science, full Professor of Applied Ecology, who is going to tell us about emerging contaminants in the marine environment, new risks and new opportunities. Francesco, slide
Okay, thanks again. I don't know if it will be the best week, at least in the next 45 minutes. But emerging contaminants in the marine environment, new risk and new opportunities. And I'd like to start with the consideration that for a long time, our desire for well-being and a comfortable life prevented us from understanding the impact that human activities would have on our planet. And without realizing this situation, we have entered in a new era that is often called as the Anthropocene, a period in which the activities of humans have a considerable impact on the exponential changes that our planet is experiencing, much more than any other natural events. Now, when we started the Anthropocene, for some people it should be referred to the Industrial Revolution. For others, it would be better to consider 1945 with the first atomic bomb and the starting of the release of radioactive isotopes. Again, something that in these days is becoming popular again. But independently on the debate, which is probably not so important, is certain that this period is characterized by an unsustainable exploitation of mineral, natural, and biological resources at rates which are much higher than we could even suspect. Climate change and extreme events are not anymore an exceptional event. It is exceptional if we spend a week without an extreme event. Waste and the so-called anthropomass is another typical sign of the Anthropocene. The anthropomass are those materials which are produced only by man. Like asphalt, cement, or plastic. And it is interesting to know that at the beginning of the 20th century, anthropomass was just 3% of biomass, the mass of all living organisms. Then it started to grow in an exponential way. At this time, the anthropomass equals the biomass, and by 2040 we are expected to have the double of anthropomass compared to the biomass, which is something you should think about. Within a few years, most of our planets will be filled with materials that are not of natural origin. Chemical pollutants and environmental unsustainability. I always like to remember, because I have the feeling that it is not fully clear, that at the global level, the 80% of industrial, agricultural, or domestic effluents are released in the aquarium without any treatment. Which means that this 80% of effluents release in the aquatic environments complex mixtures of chemicals, the consequences of which are often completely unknown. Even because we basically don't know what we release into the environment. Consider that every year humans produce 1,500 new molecules which were not present the year before. In the early 80s, we counted more than 100,000 commercial synthetic compounds. And for these chemicals, only for 5% of these molecules we can consider to have a rather extensive knowledge in terms of biological, toxicological, or potentially ecological consequences. But for all 70% of the chemicals that we produce and that we release into our environment, we have a poor or even absent characterization of the exposure and toxicological hazards that we cannot predict which the environmental consequences will be. It is not surprising that even in the theory of the 9 planetary boundaries, which are those 9 key areas, the limits of the threshold of which should not overwhelm it to avoid that they compromise the functioning of the whole planet. Well, it is not surprising that the limit considered related to chemical pollution is considered as not sufficiently quantified. It means that we don't know which is the level of the threshold of pollution above which we can expect irreversible effects for our environment, our planet, our life. At the same time, however, we have learned that chemicals, even if we do not exactly know the long-term consequences, they tend to be accumulated, even if present at a very low concentration in the environment, can be concentrated at the lower level of trophic web, and most of them can be transferred through a food web, being biomodified, so potentially representing even a risk for human health. And when do we realize this problem? When we find some apparently unexplainable increase of certain human pathologies, like cancers, like immune responses, like obesogenic pathologies, and after a certain time, we realize that these pathologies, these human pathologies, have been related to an anomalous exposure to mixtures of chemicals that we have ignored for several years. And for a similar reason, I'd say that chemical pollution is still considered as one of the 5 threats to biodiversity, because we still are not able to predict in advance. So in many cases, we are still in the condition that we observe a loss of biodiversity, and then we are able to explain that maybe the cause was the pollution. But even at the human level, in the last decades, we have understood that several pathologies, like the increase in cancer, ischemic heart disease, respiratory problems, are all pathologies that we very well know to be associated with the poor quality of atmospheric air. So a clear evidence that the presence of chemical pollution have a direct impact on our life. I like in this moment also to remind that the contrast to pollution is also a fight for equity and equality, because we should not forget that more harmful and evident repercussions of pollution are evident on the most vulnerable groups. We are not exposed in the same way. Socioeconomic limits enhance the effects of pollution. And in the so-called low-income countries, more than 90% of deaths appear to be linked to pollution. These data are before the war, which of course of pollution. Now, for several decades, speaking about pollution meant to speak about those that we can define as traditional chemicals, metals, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, pesticides, dioxins. I imagine that most of you have already heard about these molecules. On these classes of chemicals, I must say that in the last 30, 40 years, we really got a lot of new knowledge, and now we know a lot about their release, the distribution, different environmental compartment, the fate, bioaccumulation, and toxicological effects on contaminants. But and this is the topic of this talk, we nowadays have to face new chemicals, the emerging pollutants, which are not new because their usage is because it's new, the awareness that we have acquired concerning the problem that these compounds can have on our environmental health. And we know that these emerging pollutants interact each other, which is another important aspect, and they can also interact with other typical